colors, and keeping close track of everything that goes on in that. Last breed is in breed ID. I love this breed. It's a Trianta. They correct me all the time. I've had many, many years of training, and it's Trianta. Lori would be so happy when she sees this. She'll know that I said it correctly. I should get chocolate. Where's my chocolate? They are, when you're looking at their face, because I had some people write down that this was a New Zealand, okay? Red New Zealand. They have a lot of the same characteristics and color. They're a little bit blockier. They have a much broader face. They're much smaller, but they do have that real deep red color when they're not wilting. And they are only one variety of the breed, so it is a standard breed. So it's going to be Trianta, standard, or class standard. Okay? There was a Red New Zealand in the breed ID competition as well. It was a bigger animal. So when you're going through and looking, they've got two red animals. Which one is bigger? That's probably New Zealand. If I'm looking at Satin versus New Zealand, which one has sheep? So keeping track of all those tiny little breed intricacies will help you do really well on breed ID. Anybody have any questions? None? It's a lot of information. Sorry. David, I'm sure we'll post that. Okay. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to kind of move stuff around and stuff back. I'll be milling around, and if you guys have any questions and you don't want to get them here, I'm available for questions. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you. All right.
And then we're going to jump into the breeding fundamentals one.
And if you want a different color, you're welcome to change the color. Oops.
Hey, champion spot, champion master. Champion work, Elliot. Champion Tamworth, Eric Reed. Champion Yorkshire, Cooper Sandball.
Natalie has one already.
Okay. Thank you. No worries. Thank you.
Champion Hereford, ID Shorter. Champion Poland, Taylor Hinton. Champion Landry, Connor Reed. Champion Andrew, Ella Holy. Champion Durock, Russian Tribble. Champion Justin, Garrett Reed. Champion Crossbred, Kate Hatner.
All right, down at the rabbit school, we are going to initially do a ask any question that you have about rabbits, and then we're going to jump into the breeding fundamentals presentation. We're going to begin in 2 minutes. All right, let's do it.
I had lilacs about 20 years ago. Do we know anybody breeding lilacs anymore?
I don't know if there are in Michigan or not, but I mean, there are people that still breed them.
Yeah. That was mine seemed best, but I was over in North Branch.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah.
my trying to find them again.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, go to the ARBA website and go to the lilac page. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Champion is Worcester, Allier. Now entering the race, third Worcester, Aiden Wagner. Reserve is the crossbred, Aiden Kastner.
Hello.
Third overall spot, Aiden Kastner. Brings in Shannon Williams.
Attention rabbit exhibitors. We need an
Hi.
fire number, honey.
43, Sarah, Christelman.
Sarah,
Yep.
45.
Yep.
Fourth is Erica Crossbred. Fifth overall, Duroc. Russian rival. Okay, we take a 5-minute pause. 5 minutes. We'll start tomorrow.
All right, for breeding fundamentals. For breeding fundamentals, anytime you're breeding animals, it's important to have a goal in mind before you do it, and then also have an outlet for the animals that you produce, and have a plan for that. So whatever your goal is, if it's to produce them for your county fair, for a state fair, to show them at shows, to have them for a unique color as a pet, it's important to have that important purpose for them. So I'm going to go through and talk about the process of breeding, and I've broken it down into these 14 steps. Step 1 is pre-breeding. Steps 2 through 6 are breeding. 7 is palpating. Kindling is 8 through 10. 11 through 13 is litter growth, and 14 is weaning. So when we're pre-breeding, we are inspecting both the doe and the buck and making sure that they're healthy and in adequate shape to breed. So this is where, when you're doing the normal showmanship steps, and why we do showmanship, we're using that similar process in our own barns to identify and make sure the rabbit's healthy and that they are fit to be bred. Because we don't want to have animals that aren't fit to be bred and breeding them because that could cause more harm to them, as well as we don't want them to have some type of a disease, because if it has a disease and it's transmittable, it would be giving it to the other animal that it's being bred with. So when you're going through, you want to check all the areas like you would in showmanship and make sure the animal doesn't have any kind of disease to it and that they are getting good overall physical health and condition. When you're examining the doe, I have an example of one that's a doe that's not in heat and the doe that is in heat. The doe that's not in heat on the left is more light pink in color and smaller, whereas the one on the right is more enlarged and a deeper pinkish purple. So a doe on the right, though, is more receptive and wanting to be bred, and it has a higher likelihood of having conception. For a buck, this is an example of a buck that would be healthy. So the first step is taking the doe to the buck's cage. And we do that. Does are extremely territorial, and by having them be very territorial, they could do harm to the buck if we brought the buck to the doe's cage. It's important when you're breeding the animals to continue to observe them and watch them as they breed to make sure that none of the animals get injured during the process. I think one of the biggest things that inexperienced people do while they're breeding animals is that they'll put them together and let them be in the cage for 24 hours or something like that. And it does expose both of them to being able to be hurt from the other one. So when we're breeding, there's two forms. You could either do cage breeding or table breeding. It just depends on the breeder and in terms of which one they prefer for doing that in their own barn. When breeding them, the buck will fall off the doe when breeding has occurred. We have a variety of videos on that on the Rabbit Tutor page. To increase the likelihood of conception and that the doe is pregnant, you can repeat steps 2 through 5 several times. In our barn, what we'll do is we'll breed the doe, and then after they've bred, take her out and put her back in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so, and then wait between 8 to 12 hours and do the process again. We do that because rabbits are induced ovulators, which means that the eggs are released when breeding occurs. And about that 8 to 12 hour period after they've been bred is when the eggs are able to be, or have a higher likelihood of having conception. So a question I have is, how long is the gestation period of a rabbit? It's 28 to 32 days.
First of all, class 1, first you mark it off, make it to the ring.
So when you have after you've bred the doe, this is an example. I'll count down 4 days on the calendar. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the day that we will end up putting the nesting box in, and then we would expect her to have the babies 2 days after that. But then that gives it time, in case the babies did come early, to make sure that you have the nesting box in there for that. If you, and we wait to put the nesting box in on day 28, because if you do it too soon, she'll start using it as a litter box, and as a result of that, she's not going to use it to actually have the nest with the babies in it. But on day 14, so 2 weeks, on day 14, is the time if you wanted to palpate the rabbit, you could. And what we mean by palpating,
anyone who would like to be in farm showmanship, you need to stop by the office, pay your $10 fee.
and what we mean by palpating is getting the doe out of the cage, putting her on a table, grooming table, some type of carpeted surface, and feeling in her abdomen. And if you, we have an additional video on this that goes more in depth, but the simple version is that you're feeling for what feel like the size of a grape on the inside of the doe, and you can actually feel how many kits are there at that time. As you have more and more experience, and you have compare one that you think is bred, and you're trying to see if it does have babies in there or kits in there, versus having just another rabbit out, you can start feeling those differences between the two. I think that's a great way to learn how to palpate and confirm that the doe is pregnant. Another thing you could do is you could test breed and breed the doe again to a different buck or to the same one to ensure that she is bred. Typically, if you test breed like that and the doe is bred, she usually will not want to be with another buck. Okay, now day 28. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 weeks in, so day 28. We have nesting boxes. There's a number of different options for nesting boxes. I have 2 examples here, a wooden one, a metal nesting box. I've also seen people use plastic containers and somehow securing them to the cage so they don't flip over. I've also seen a dropping style nesting box where the wire is literally cut out on the floor of the cage, and that the box is down below it. I have used both wooden and metal ones in my rabbitry. The advantage to a wooden box at this time of the year is with how cold it is, it's extremely hard to keep the babies warm once she does kindle, and so that increases the chances of bacteria. Bacteria stays inside that wood a lot more readily, and it gives the chance for diseases to pass more easily as well. And also, like in this one where there's no drainage holes, if the babies are obviously need to go to the high amounts of ammonia and urine and manure in there, which could hurt the health of the animal. There's also metal nesting boxes. The advantages of those is that there's less cage space taken up because it's not as thick. These ones, like metal ones, I think is more commonly that they have that detachable floor to them. So an advantage of that is that if you don't have a litter, there isn't any kind of blood or anything half kindled, or the manure or urine and such, by replacing that board, it reduces the chances of diseases spreading and the next litter being healthy. Disadvantages, though, it's definitely way colder in the wintertime, and so that gives a chance where the animal or the babies may not have as great of a success rate as other alternatives. And you can get these for the variety of different cage dealers that are here at shows, as well as a variety of different places online. All right, so let's talk about nesting box materials. What are the common materials in nesting boxes? What do you guys think? What are the common materials in nesting boxes? What do you guys think? Go ahead.
Like the doe will.
Go ahead.
Like the doe will start pulling out fur, and if they don't do that, because it's their first time, they don't know how to do it yet. We keep a little baggie of lobster fluff, and my mom has French Angoras, which we take from the mat and put them in there.
Okay. All right. So hers, great answer. So the doe is going to pull fur when she's in the box. Great answer. So the doe is going to pull fur when she's in the box, And sometimes with first-time mothers, they don't do as great of a job pulling enough fur for the babies. And so she'll save back fur from other litters. Is that what you said?
No, we just take like
New fur. Is that what you said?
no like fur that we grew off the rabbit.
Oh, fur that you groom off of the rabbits because you have Angoras, okay? And then you'll use that inside of the box to make sure that there's a good area or good place for them to have warmth. Awesome, awesome. Other things that are commonly used, I know, are straw, right? Having the straw in the box as the base. Some people use sawdust. I've also heard of people using like orchard grass as a base, and find something that works for you. I think that as you talk to more and more breeders, there's not a one-size-fits-all. I mean, I definitely I like using straw, but I've seen people be successful with just having sawdust in the box, and others doing a combination of both, some putting some of the orchard grass in there. Similar to what you were saying on the having the extra Angora fur, is there's this fake fur stuff that you can get from a variety of cage suppliers. What it does is that it's an additional way to give warmth to the rabbits, and it does kind of just insulate them in there. All right, so we've built the box. We've taken the box. We put some straw in it to make it ready. The doe jumps in. She starts pulling fur, just like you said, and then we wait for a couple of days. But the doe's working hard in the nesting box to get it ready to kindle. All right, the next question. The doe just kindled. It's now day 30. What should you do? How soon after a doe kindles should you handle the kits? Go ahead.
Probably like a few weeks, like after they like start opening their eyes, like
Okay.
maybe like start like moving, like almost and like barely almost like getting like.
Okay. All right. Good. I love the kids too as they circle around. Go ahead.
Depending on the doe, the more they get the rest of my life, or you know,
Yeah, and that's the right answer, right? So you want to start, or you want to go into the litter immediately after she's kindled, for what you said. There may have been a stillborn one that didn't make it during delivery, and you want to get it out so it's not, like, especially in the wintertime, it's not just turning into an icicle and freezing the other ones. You also want to just make sure that if there was extra blood or anything else with birth, that you've taken it out so that it's not attracting predators, and so that the box is clean. Oftentimes there is also blood inside the box, and so like pulling that out to make sure that it's gone, so that in the summer you don't have flies or any kind of predators coming in is super important. All right, so she has had the litter. She has a nice little fluff on top of them as well, which is common to keep them insulated and just keep them safe. And then, as you said, they start growing. They don't have fur initially, and their eyes are closed. And then then we keep going forward. And then, about what day do kits open their eyes? Go ahead. Yep. So it's right around 10 days of age is the most typical time when they open their eyes, and there's a little variability to that, but it's typically right around when they open their eyes. So these guys are right at about that 10-day age, not 10 weeks. And they're awful cute at that stage. And then they're starting to move around like you were saying. All right, and then we keep going forward. What are the baby rabbits or kits eating for the first few weeks? Good.
Their mom's like rabbit milk.
The mom's rabbit milk, yep. And then sometime around 4 weeks of age, is typically when the kits will normally start consuming pellets. That can vary on the litter and the genetics and such, but that's a typical time when they start beginning to eat pellets. And then so after that is when weaning can occur, and I think it varies depending on the breeder, that it's somewhere in that range of 5 weeks. I've heard some people weaning them at 8 weeks and 10 weeks, but weaning occurs at some point during that time. All right, so that's the entire process of breeding and weaning. But then I wanted to talk about a few or more common issues that occur when it comes to not having the doe be bred. And the things that come to mind most are the buck being sterile.
In the senior division, first place goes Percy Cutting.
I'm gonna wait.
Second place ties to Aaron Kurtz and Emma Taylor. Intermediate Taylor. First place Cecilia Tanada. Second place is Cooper Stambaugh, and third place to Jessica Shears. Junior Taylor. First place to Anna Downey. Second place to Ella Jarrett. And third place to Taylor. Novice Taylor. First place to Emma Boyle. Second place to Kylie Ferris. And third place to Emily Green. And still without a beginner. Keely Boyle, Maya Boyle, and Tyler Albrecht. You can pick up awards in the vet office, which is located just around the corner from the show off.
All right, so handling conception issues. Let's focus on that. So,
Second call, please, you're on. Bring your picks to the ring now.
so one of the most common issues why they didn't breed is that the buck is sterile. So there was a reason that the buck didn't do his part. It could be from his age, if he doesn't have enough nutrition, or the season. Let's break some of those down. The older the animal is, could cause it to lose the fertile. The second one is with nutrition. If they does not have what it needs in the feed to be able to be healthy enough to be able to breed, as well as the and then the last one is season. In the wintertime, the rabbits need more feed and energy to be able to have what they need to continue to breed and to successfully breed.
In our life
And then these are similar, right? So the old age, like we talked about, and the poor physical condition. So an animal that's very thin and flesh condition doesn't have the right fitness to it to be able to actually conceive.
in the intermediate division, first place to Rachel
So let's think about some other things that cause conception issues. So there's sore hocks. An animal that has sore hocks is one that's not in breeding shape or breeding condition. So it would have failed in that very first step that you did, where you're wanting to make sure the animal is healthy and fit. Same with the disease. So if they have a disease, that disease may actually prevent them from breeding. But if they have the disease and you see it, you definitely don't want to breed with them because you don't want them to spread that disease to other animals in the body. On the feeding, you can also, I was talking about the underfeeding more, but you can also overfeed. So by overfeeding them, they could be too fat to be able to be in breeding condition, and that causes less room for the reproductive organs to have space, which causes them to potentially not have not be bred. That can be for bucks or does. And then underfeeding, like we had covered. Just diving a little bit deeper on the season. So in the cooler temperatures, they need a little more feed to them to have the energy to do it. Is important. Whereas in hot temperatures, it can just be too hot and the bucks aren't fertile. And they shouldn't breed because there's just so much stress in their environment, which is not, which can be detrimental to them. What questions do you guys have? Go ahead.
So I'm just.
Here, I'll even let you do it. You're good.
I
overweight, has gotten down to a pretty good weight now. I have read for probably.
Last call, last three, you're already marking off. Last three, you're already marking off. Last call, going to the race.
So, how long has it been since the last time she had a litter?
When I first read her, it had been a couple months.
Okay, only a couple months. Okay.
Now it's been a while.
Okay, so if you had her originally and only a couple of months, but she still was overweight at that point. Okay. So, anytime you have one that is overweight, even if they did just have a litter, it's still more difficult, or it's a lower probability of success of having them conceive than one that is at the appropriate weight. With it only being a 2 month had a litter, I would expect it to have a reasonable good chance of having conception. At the same time, the longer it goes, like I would say that if it's say that it's been a year since they've had it. Like I would say that if it's say that it's been a year since they've had it, it's and it was a doe. It's very difficult from my experience to get them to start breeding again. And so that's one of the things that I think that we look at this a lot for kids that breed for county fairs for meat pens, is that they'll only breed them that one time a year, and then they're disappointed that they didn't have success when they bred it again because it worked last year. And the reality is their body just fills with fat and things that prevent them from being able to conceive and be bred. And so it's surprising that if they had just had them within the last 2 months, that you would have had that hard of a success rate. It's hard to know for sure what the issue was. Oh, she was very overweight though at that point. I mean, and that even once you get them back to a more reasonable or more appropriate weight, their body has shifted and changed, and there's fat deposits on the inside that we just can't see that could be preventing it. What other questions you guys got? Good.
I'm having my first litter, at my rabbit tree. Do you have any advice or
Yeah. So the biggest thing I think, if it's the first time you've had a litter, is to put the nesting box in around day 28. I've heard all kinds of different things where people put them in way earlier than that, like right after they bred them. And that's not a good idea, because anything earlier than that, like right around day 28, the doe will start using it more as a litter box instead of using it for babies. So I think that's a huge thing. And then just keep feeding her similarly to what she had been prior to being bred. And then right after she kindles, make sure you go in and or have your parents help you go in and pull out anything that's extra outside the kids. Keep the fur in, but anything outside of that. Other questions? Go ahead.
I've got one more for you.
Good.
So my cat had a couple of litters. I had those having litters on the way. One of these was a first time mom, but it didn't happen. The other one was proven, great mom before, and continued to have my last 2 years I've lost, and then I've saved a few babies, and I've been back up, got them in the box from mom with placement air, and they die about day 2 every time. The week 10. I don't know if you think that could be a bad milk issue, or I don't know if I can remove those from the breeding program.
So it's hard to diagnose, like when I'm not seeing it. So I'm partially guessing, right? But I mean, things that go through my head if something like that happens. There's both genetic aspects to them breeding and having good litters and just being great moms that pull a lot of fur and actually are great milkers. We see that in other livestock, right? On dairy cows, we know which ones produce more milk. Same thing in rabbits, we just don't track it the same way. So there's the genetic aspect of just like how they functionally are better at being a mom. And then there's also the environmental aspect. And so that could be the season we're in, that it got really cold. It could also be that they got scared because all of a sudden the neighbor's dog's barking a lot. And I mean, at the end of the day, rabbits are still a prey animal. And even though they're ours and they're our pets and that we have them in a building, they still are concerned about being eaten. And so those things do impact them. So any kind of like new changes like that, I mean, I'm guessing, but those are things that initially go through my head. Plausible, yeah. Like it puts undue stress on them. And so to say, yes, I think the genetic aspect is a trait that breeders like ourselves will select for over time. We want great moms that produce great, show quality animals, but part of that is that they just do a great job on kindling, on pulling fur, and milking them and having them grow correctly. But the environment aspect is still real. So like you would just need to try it more than once to know, is it the genetic part or is it the environmental part? Other questions? I'll even open it up to any questions, not even related to this. What you got? Do you want to be on this? Do you want to talk on this or not? Okay. What's your question? What's your question? Are you talking about milk? Yeah. Who doesn't use milk? Any other questions? And it can be, I'll open it up to anything outside of just the breeding fundamentals. I don't. I have been listening, but I haven't heard that. I can't tell you that one. All right, well, thank you guys.
First call, class 5. You're up. First call, class 5. Bring your face in the ring.
Kathleen Gibson and Gunnar Smith, could you please return to the awards area? Kathleen Gibson and Gunnar Smith.
Need first and second place, class 3 and 4 Duroc. Need first and second place, class 3 and 4 Duroc. Bring your face to the ring. First call, class 6, amateur market hog. First call, class 6, amateur market hog. Congratulations to winners in class 5. First place, Gabby Wojcicki. Second place, Taylor Smith. Third, Barrett Yoho. Fourth, Abby Escavera. Fifth, Noah Clingham. Now I have our champion drive for Duroc Market Hall. then final call, class 6, Hampshire Market Officer going in the ring. Hampshire Market Officer going in the ring. First call, Hereford. First call, Hereford Market Officer, bring your face to the ring. Second call, Hereford Market Officer. Second call, Hereford Market Officer, bring your face to the ring. And final call, Hereford Market Hall, we're missing one. Hereford Market Hall, last and final call. First call, land race, Market Hall. First call, land race, bring your faces right now. First call, Poland China, last 9. First call, Poland China, last 9, bring your faces right now. Congratulations, winners of the Hereford. First place, Taylor Hinston. Second place, Braxton Armstrong. Third, Amberly Meyer. Now the race, land race, Market Hall. Second call, Poland China, Market Hall, last 9. Second call, last 9, Poland. Bring your face to the ring now. Third call, last 9, Poland Market Hall. Third call, last 9, Poland Market Hall. Bring your face to the ring now.
Natalie Bounds, or a representative, could you please come to the show office, Natalie Bounds?
Emily Gibson and Gunnar Smith. Emily Gibson and Gunnar Smith, please return to the award office. First call, class 10, spot. First call, class 10, spot. Bring your face to the ring. Congratulations to winner of the land grade first place, Taylor Smith. Second, Jackson Whitmire. Last call, class 10, spot market hogs to the ring now. Class 10, spot market hogs to the ring now. First call, class 11, Tamworth. First call, class 11, Tamworth. Tamworth market hog, bring your face to the ring. Second call, Tamworth market hog. Second call, Tamworth market hog. Congratulations to the winner from Poland, first place, Patty Van in second place, Roy Winterman, and third, Ella Poland. Garrett Reed, you need your Tamworth. Tamworth market hog, class 11. Bring your face to the ring now.
starting tomorrow.
First call, last 12, Yorkshire market off. First call, last 12, Yorkshire market off. Bring your face to the ring. Congratulations, winners in the spot. First place, Taylor Hinson. Second, McKenna Williams. Third, Landon Claybaugh, and fourth, Andy Fribble. Second call, Yorkshire Market Hall, class 12. Second call, Yorkshire Market Hall, class number 12. Bring your face to the ring now.